And on this beautiful afternoon here in the African bush, we are on foot in a vast wilderness, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And a very good afternoon to all of you watching, and welcome on the Sunset Safari. My name is Jamie. Eggsy just tripped over a branch. And I have Eggsy, also officially known as Zunda, on camera with me. And as I said, we are on foot in a vast African wilderness here on Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. We are coming to you live, which means that you can send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. I nearly tripped. Or you can email through to questions at WildEarthTV. I haven't done a bushwalk in a while. And of course, we have the amazing Herbie with us. Oop. Herbie's now on camera, whether he wants to be or not, with his amazing smile. And Herbie, of course, is acting as a security detail for us, essentially because I'm going to be busy talking to you, listening through an earpiece. He's going to be walking ahead to make sure that I don't trip over a buffalo, as I would probably do. Eggsy might spot it, though. Eggsy's got some good bush eyes. And we are heading along with our two safari vehicles. So Byron is on the one, which I'm sure will excite many of you, the fact that Byron has returned. And Brent is on the other. Now Byron has just gone back to check on the last position. Come here, Egg, sorry. The Dwarf Mongoose watching us. Can you see them there? Yeah. Am I putting you under pressure now? Yeah, got them. Well done. The family of Dwarf Mongoose. The quarantine Dwarf Mongoose. The smallest of the African carnivore, and probably the one that is the most comfortable with the presence of people on foot. Short of perhaps the wonderful Queen of Djuma, Karula. Now we've just heard from Byron that Karula has moved from her position from this morning, and she's gone off with the two cubs. So Herbert and myself and Eggsy are going to be making our way back into that direction to see if we can't help Byron follow up and figure out exactly where she's gone. Because of course we've got the advantage of moving about on foot. It's actually why I've been striding along. I'm going to keep striding along, I think, so that we can cover some ground. We want to try and get into that area, because if she goes south, she's going to cross very soon. It's not far to the southern boundary of Djuma. So we are going to be heading across there to try and help Byron. With him driving around, we'll walk in that general direction. And speaking of Byron, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and hear from the man himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be back, and I have Gendre on camera with me this afternoon, which is very exciting. Hang on a second, I just thought I saw an interesting bird fly up into a tree. Let me just have a look. There is indeed, Gendre. Have a look. Straight through. Have a look at that, everybody. Oh, wonderful. Oh dear, now we're going to have to ID this bird. Little goshawk of sorts. And just double check. It would be nice if it could turn around. That's a nice little start. I just saw it fly up into that tree. It could possibly have flown down to catch something. These little birds of prey will catch insects, lizards, as well as little rodents. Fed a complete blank. I think I know what that is, but I don't think it's a Gabber Goshawk. It's too small, everyone. Sure. You know what? I just need my book. Beautiful, beautiful little bird. Oh dear, my You see what happens when you take a week off, everyone. You forget all the easy little birds and that. And this should be what is the name now? A little sparrowhawk. A little shikra, I think. I think it's a shikra. I think that's what that is. It used to be called a little banded goshawk. Just want to double check for you, but I do think that is what it is, everyone. Little red eye and a yellow beak. That's exactly what it's got, those yellow legs. And like I said, it would be nice if it could turn around for us, because you should be able to see some barring on the chest and the front of the body. It's a beautiful, beautiful little bird. That's a nice little surprise. Let's just see if it turns around. Come on. And they're not very big at all. Small little bird of prey. A shikra. It used to be known as a little banded goshawk. So that is the old name, but it has been called a shikra for quite a few years now. Just when you want these little birds to turn around for you, they don't always do what you want. And the last time I was here, 2 weeks ago, I was doing a lot of bird calls for everybody, but I don't really know the shikra call, so I can't do it for you. And usually they've got most of these birds of prey have got these high chirping sounds, very high pitched, but I'm not good at that, so I definitely won't even attempt it. Not interested in turning around for us. But what a wonderful sighting. A lovely bird to start with. Isn't that great? We are looking for Karula. We're in the area that leopard was this morning, the female leopard with the 2 cubs, Karula and her 2 cubs. We have checked the last position, and it seems to be that she has moved off, which is interesting. I understand there wasn't too much of the kill left that she did have, but what may have happened is perhaps the cubs dropped the kill and they could have lost it to hyena or anything like that. I'm not sure. We just took a quick little drive past. We saw some waterbuck in the area, but there was nothing, no sign of any leopards. But I am going to be checking this area very, very carefully. I know Jamie and Herbert are coming into the area to help us too, so hopefully we'll get to find that beautiful female leopard and 2 cubs for you this afternoon. As I said, it's good to be back, and I know the other guys, well, Jamie and Taylor, are taking some time off, well-needed time off and some rest. So I'm excited to see what the next few weeks holds in store for me and for all of you. And speaking of all of you and our viewers, a big hello to friends of mine and guests of mine, Christine and Teresa. I wonder who else is there. It's Christine's birthday. Happy birthday, Christine. I hope you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. And it's great that you can watch all the way from New York City, and you can watch our safari and see what we can find for you. So send your questions in. Don't make them too difficult though. Alright, so we're going to carry on searching this area, looking for any sign of the female leopard and her cubs. And while I do that, let's head back to Brent. He's got a carcass that he'd like to show you.
Now on the sunrise safari, the Nkuhumas were still feeding. As you can see, there's almost nothing left. Whatever meat was left has been picked clean by the vultures. So those vultures were sitting in the tree because they're full, not because they're lions on the ground. And if you look carefully, there's always a good way to tell that they are vultures. Isn't it so nice? No door, I can just step out into the wilderness at will. But if you look carefully, there's always some vulture down, some feathers around. Now, the lions could still be very close by, so I'm just being a little bit more careful as I approach. If the bush starts growling, we know they're still here. And you see there's still lots of flies, and carrion flies and blowflies. Now they've really picked this clean. So the only place the vultures haven't been able to get into is where the lions haven't opened up on the legs here. When you see all the flies that are coming out from under the skin, whoa! Don't touch me, flies. Here. But when you have a look, the flies that are vulture sated, and if you look on the trees here, they're literally just covered in these flies. Well, we're going to keep moving, see if we can find the pride. Hopefully they're not too far off. They might have headed down towards Galago Pan for a drink. Okay, now so I'm going to keep searching carefully, but we're also going to have a chat. Let's go a bit slower. Have a chat about what's happening to the Nkuhumas. There's no tracks here. And we'll do a little loopity-loop around this area. And so, the initial prognosis from the veterinary clinic in Ornistaport is that it is definitely white mussel disease. Now, the smartest member of the Safari Live presenters is the one who figured that out, and that is, of course, Jamie. And she figured out from a scientific reason, we're not saying it definitely is, but that's the initial prognosis, that it is white mussel disease. But why the reason it happens so quickly, and it's also happening to the adults. And I'll go into it briefly, but I'll let Jamie explain it to you in full, since I cannot take any credit. That was all Jamie. She came in and said, I've had an epiphany about why it's happened so fast. So vitamin E, it's a vitamin E deficiency, and you need fat to dilute or absorb vitamin E. Do you see tracks there? Yeah. Going straight down to Galago Pad. Well, spotted. So we're going to start moving our way there. So, and that's the reason it's happened so quickly and right at the end of the drought, even though we've had a bit of rain. So there's almost zero fat reserves left in the buffalo. So the lions are not taking on any fat, and it's very unusual for it to manifest in adults, but not impossible. But as I said, I'll let Jamie explain it in a bit more detail, since she is the one who came up with the theory, and it is just that. It's a working theory at the moment, but so far most signs are pointing towards white mussel disease, and it is a natural occurrence in the wild, especially after a drought like we've just had. And it's also a way of what nature's doing to give the other animals, like the buffalo and the kudu and other things, a way to recover. Because if your lion populations are very big while your animals are in that recovery period, it can really affect the populations of your large carnivores. No, that's not the lion, it's the bush. So I know it is very sad and very difficult, and what's that? No, elephant dung. But it is nature looking after itself. But also remember, hashtag Safari Live with a bang. Let's go see what he's found.
Well, look at this, everybody. An incredible spot from Gendre. As we were driving around, we managed to spot what looks like a little Hosana, the young male cub, just sitting across on the other side of the drainage at the moment. Don't see any sign of the other leopards, but what a wonderful start for us. That is fantastic. It is a very cool afternoon, but have a look where that little cub is sitting right across on the other side of the drainage. Probably about almost 100 meters from where the kill was, maybe not quite 100 meters. About that from where the kill was. The kill was a little bit further down the drainage line, so it does look as if they finished the kill and they've moved off. I wonder if Karula, the female, if she didn't move off, possibly to go and hunt or look for some water, and she decided to leave the cubs here for a little bit. And they are well fed. There's no need to move them. So I wonder if that isn't what's happened here. And I'm not sure. I'm sure the other little cub is around here. Like I said, I'm not too sure. There could be all 3 leopards in this area. So we'll definitely sit and spend some time here and have a look to see if we get a glimpse of the others. I'm just scanning around at the moment. This is really, really wonderful. And as I was mentioning, because it's such a cool day, we're very fortunate because that's why that little cub is out in the open at the moment. Usually if it's very hot, they do tend to move into drainage lines or in the shade of trees and thickets. It's not always easy to spot a leopard, so we were quite lucky to spot that young cub from a distance out in the open. Although when Jandre spotted him, he was on a log and just jumped down and moved off a little bit, but lying beautifully in the open for us. Isn't that wonderful? Now this female Karula has been very, very successful with raising her cubs in the past and now with these youngsters. These young ones are almost 9 months old already, I think. 8 months, almost 9 months, I think, going on, yeah. So they will still have a few months with the female for her to look after them and teach them how to hunt, how to survive, and usually, probably by the age of 1.5 years, that's the average that cubs decide to leave the mothers, or that the mothers actually push them off. So it'll be about 1 year to 1.5 years on average. It's 1.5 years, and then they will move off and try to set up their own territories. Not the young males just yet. They will be nomadic and move around until they get bigger and old enough, like this young male will have to do when he gets a bit older, and then set up a territory for himself. What I'm going to do is just roll forward a little bit here, just so we can make sure we see that beautiful face of that little cub. How's that, Jandre? A little bit better? hiding in that little cap for us. The nice thing is that because we've got the camera, we're able to really get you up close and personal with these beautiful animals without having to drive right down into the drainage lines or the thick areas. We can show you from the road sometimes, which is a wonderful benefit. And don't forget, everyone, send us your questions at #SafariLive on Twitter, or email us with questions at WildEarthTV, and we'll gladly answer them, or your comments. It's always nice hearing from our viewers. So MJ, you say this is definitely Xongile. So I know a lot of our viewers do view the spot patterns a lot easier than what we do from a distance. I haven't been able to see that little cub properly. It is quite a distance from us, so we'll have a good look out and see and make sure, and just double check. I'm not sure. I still don't see any sign of the other one around. So Xongile is the young female, and I'm just trying to have a good look. I saw these little. Well, it was about, what was it, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. I saw all 3 of them together, and you could see the young male was quite large already. Almost the same size as the female. The male leopards do get much larger than female leopards. They'll get to the size or weight rather of around 70 to 80 kilograms, which is double the size of the females. Females will get to about 30 to 40 kilograms. So you should generally spot a size difference quite easily with the older leopards. but sometimes it still takes a trained eye, and you do have to look very, very carefully. Now with these younger leopards, it's a little bit harder, especially from this distance and this angle. Lael, all the way from Washington, you wanted to know if leopards can get the white mussel disease. Now, Lael, I know there's been so with me being away, and that I've heard about all the issues with the lions and the lions catching this terrible disease, which is very, very sad. I don't know anything about that disease in terms of if cats like leopards and that can contract it. If the lions are able to contract it, my guess would be that leopards can too. However, leopards adapt very well to different conditions, whether it be drought, different terrain, different areas. They're incredibly interesting big cats, and very, very well adapted to each and every situation and surroundings that they are found in. My guess is that leopards would find food in different areas when there's a shortage of nutrients. I mean, if we know that they hunt everything from fish and snakes all the way up to large antelope. So I would think that leopards would probably get enough food and nutrients that basically they won't get that white mussel disease. That would be my guess, but I'm not too sure. I've never seen or heard of white mussel disease in big cats before. This is the first time that I've seen it. So it's very, very interesting. Jamie actually has a good theory on this white mussel disease. So I think, why don't we head to her and she can tell you more about it.
Well, I hope I have a slightly better, well, not better understanding. I hope that I've managed to sort of clarify my own thinking. And Brent mentioned that I had an epiphany about this whole thing, which is why I'm so casually leaning against the marula tree that's just happened to conveniently be placed here, because this is going to be a long one. So everybody strap in, and I apologize for the science that we're going to go into. No, actually, I don't apologize for the science that we're about to go into, but we are going to go into some science in a little bit of detail. I was sitting on the couch, trying to switch my brain off and stop thinking about the lions and what was going on and just relax a little bit, when suddenly I flashed back to high school biology, and I cannot remember what year I was in, but of course I went to an all-girls school, and we talked a lot about fad diets and why they're bad for you. And I remember very specifically, this was all part of a conversation about vitamins, very specifically having a question in a test that said, why do we need to consume some fats in our diet? And then I remembered that vitamin E and vitamin A, actually, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin K are all what's known as fat-soluble vitamins. Now, vitamin, and I apologize, most of you will know this, but let's just go over it again just to sort of build the story. This is my theory, by the way. It's not based on any chats to vets or anything like that, but it just makes sense in my head. So a vitamin is essential to the way that a body works, any organism, and it's something that we cannot produce ourselves. It's something that we have to imbibe through our diet. And some of them, things like vitamin B, are what's known as coenzymes, so they're organic molecules that help all of the metabolic reactions in our cells. Vitamin E is very much an antioxidant, and it's not fully understood exactly what role it is that it plays, but it's understood that it actually performs a huge amount of very important functions in an organism's body. And it only really needs to be present in relatively small amounts, because vitamin E is fat soluble, and therefore your body can store it. It's one of the reasons why vitamin B and vitamin C supplements, if you keep taking them over a length of time, you might actually end up wasting your money unless you've been specifically told to by a doctor. They're water soluble. You just excrete them. So, bearing that in mind, vitamin E is fat-soluble. The only way that it can be absorbed through the intestine is when it is included within a fat, because it's actually an alcohol. Alcohol is fat-soluble. It's included within a fat that is then absorbed, physically carried by the molecules within the cells through the cell membranes in the intestine and into the lymphatic system. So why does this all matter? Well, my epiphany, in theory, was it's not about a lack of vitamin E, I think it's about a lack of fat in the diet, and that is why Karula and the cubs and the leopards, yes, they could get it If you fed them on meat that was completely devoid of fat, yes, eventually they would get a vitamin E deficiency. But with the lions, they've been targeting the buffalo. Now, herbivores are specially adapted. They eat the plants, so they get the oils that they need to digest vitamin E. So it's okay. It's not that the buffalo don't have vitamin E completely. They do. But the buffalo have been the hardest hit by the drought. Therefore, they are the thinnest animals out here, and that I don't think any of us are going to dispute. The buffalo have been hit the worst. The lions are tackling the buffalo because it's easy. The Nkuhumas haven't needed it to struggle too hard to catch them. The rest of the animals, the mixed feeders, they're in better condition. They're faster. They're running away. So, taking a deep breath. Sorry, Eggsy. I know this is very, very exciting for you. So, it makes sense to me that what's happened with the Nkuhumas, and that explains, because I couldn't understand how a vitamin deficiency, which is usually quite a drawn-out process, why did it happen so suddenly? And I think we just got to that point where the buffalo used up every single part of their fat reserves, from any fat that they had stored in their organs, subcutaneous fat. And now that I think about it, when you look at the carcass and you look under their skin, there was hardly anything there. So that's what I think has been happening with these lions. That's why the females were getting it. And bear in mind, it's storable because it's fat soluble. Therefore, their bodies had it stored up, and they just reached the point where they just didn't have any left, and they weren't getting any in their diet. The milk production carried on, but without vitamin E. The cubs went first, but not by much, because remember, vitamins are such a crucial part of our day-to-day existence. If I were to take away your vitamins completely, that you didn't have any in you, you'd become incredibly weak incredibly quickly. And that, I think, is the explanation as to why this white muscle disease has happened as quickly as it has. It makes sense to me. Yes, exactly, Jen B. That's exactly what I'm thinking. So if they'd killed the hippo not too long ago, and the hippo also not in fantastic shape, but the hippo slightly better off than the buffalo, then yes, I think that might have been something that would have started to help save them. Look, it might have been that the progression of the disease was such that it was already getting to that point where it just hit that tipping point, and that's when they started to fold. But the good news is that, to me, it makes sense that it's something that's imminently fixable. If the rains continue, you've seen how green it is around here. Herbie and I were just having this conversation about how walking now is not the same thing that it was a couple of weeks ago, because the vegetation is so much denser. We can't see nearly as well, which means that Herbie sort of has to stay a little bit closer to us. He can't necessarily leave us behind and go scouting because we can't see into the bush. So yes, I think that if they'd eaten the hippo, but if the buffalo start to gain condition quickly, hopefully, or if the Nkuhumas start to kill other animals, it's going to take a while. It's like trying to fix scurvy overnight. It's basically almost, in a way, comparable, though I suppose vitamin C is water soluble. But don't you think that makes a lot more sense? I know it's still tragic, and it doesn't take away 1 second from the tragedy of what's happening. But it's been bothering me. I couldn't understand how it was happening all at once, it was like there was a pathogen, but without a pathogen being involved. Now, Kitty Bang Bang, you wanted to know why it's called white muscle disease. And the reason is very simple, and it's one of the reasons why the preliminary autopsy, it's not complete, the conclusions are not completely drawn, but why the preliminary autopsy points to white muscle disease. And I've seen the pictures myself. I mentioned them this morning. I'm not going to be showing them because they're exceptionally graphic. But essentially, you've seen what a buffalo carcass looks like. You've seen the way that the muscles are red, the meat is red, the flesh is red. In this disease, the muscles are white, almost complete. Well, they're actually yellow, almost sort of chicken-colored in... Sorry, distracted by Herbie, who's eating Bushman's grape. Hey, Herbie, it's Bushman's grape. Yes. Spot on. I'm distracted. What are we looking for? Berries. Ah, and a beautiful moth. I've seen this moth before. Isn't that gorgeous? Well spotted, Herbie. Isn't his eye incredible? Just while we're wandering along, that he saw that from where he was. Absolutely beautiful. There are so many different types of moths that I don't know off the top of my head which one this is. I know I've seen it before. It's almost velvety and very fluffy and white. Beautiful. Eggsy, would you like a bushman's grape? They're not ripe. I don't think they're going to be very nice. Maybe just nibble the flesh a little bit. Oh, yuck.
That's right.
Oh, sorry. They're meant to be quite nice when they're fully ripe. That was revolting. Ugh, yuck. That was truly gross. I understand now why James pulled such funny faces. Yes, okay, so back to that whole conversation. Diane, you wanted to know if white muscle disease could have killed the buffalo that were already dead. My suspicion is no. I think they have... Look, it might be part of the malnutrition, so they might have a slight vitamin E deficiency. They might as just part of the entire malnutrition that they've been subjected to. But I doubt that was the primary cause of death for the ones that have died without any explanation. My suspicion would be that that is just pure malnutrition. And what, of course, happens is the heart muscle starts to get weak, and the buffalo dies of some kind of complication resulting from the fact that they just don't get the nutrients they need. The reason I don't think it's specifically vitamin E is because of what we discussed earlier. So the fact that plant herbivores are adapted to get vitamin E and oils and the fats that they need from the plants themselves. So seeds, legumes, the plants actually carry certain oils that are basically unsaturated fat. That works just as well as saturated. It doesn't have to be a lot of fat or butter to get the vitamin E to digest. So I doubt it was the vitamin E deficiency. And look at what the meat looked like, the muscle looked like on the buffalo. It wasn't white, it was pink. So it makes me think it was something else, probably just general malnutrition that killed the buffalo. So there you go. That was a lot of talking. So there you go. That was my theory. I hope it makes sense to you and perhaps helps you a little bit to understand the way that this disease or deficiency has progressed in the way that it has. And it gives me hope, personally, because it means that it should, as soon as they start getting fat back in their diet, it should help. Right, so I don't think leopards will get it, because they eat better food. Let's go over to Byron, have a look at a leopard.
I think it's a very sound theory, Jamie, and look what we found. We managed to find another leopard down here. I think it's the young male that's down there. Again, it's actually very difficult to tell, having just seeing a bit of the head like that with it lying down. If Genre zooms out, you'll see. Let's have a look at where this leopard is lying, right down in the drainage line, everybody. See, look at that. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So from where we are seated, it's quite difficult to spot, but managed to spot just the leg out in the open a little bit, and the head, and a little bit of movement from that leopard now, but right down in the drainage line. As I said earlier, they do prefer lying in the drainage lines and the thickets. It's a little bit cooler, and also they don't like to be seen a lot of the times. They're very elusive cats, so this is a perfect position for this leopard. No sign of the mother yet. Well, at least I think so. I don't think that is the female. I don't think that is Karula. I think that is possibly the young male, and the one that we did see earlier was the young female. And maybe
we've done a big loop around the whole area where those lion tracks have gone in. Now, they haven't come out. Now, as most of you know, I have no problem tracking lions and leopards on foot, but we're not going to be tracking the Nkuhumas on foot at the moment due to their condition. Now, a healthy lion is a completely fine thing to walk on foot. Sick lions, and especially where you've got certain members of the pride, like cubs that are sick and adults that are manifesting symptoms, but some are healthy. Walking them on foot, they could be a lot more aggressive. Their stress levels might be up, so I'm not going to do that at all. So I'm going to try still keep looking for them, but I'm not going to follow those tracks on foot into the bush, especially at the moment with sick cubs and stuff like that. I could get a very, very negative, aggressive reaction from the rest of the pride. So I'm just going to be a little bit careful. Now remember, hashtag Safari Live for any questions. So if we get no luck with the Nkuhumas, we'll go bumble about, see what else we can find. Now I've just got a report that there's a big pack of wild dogs, but they are unfortunately to the north of us. But I will be keeping my ears open to see if they do come to decide to visit us on Djuma. Okay. Now we're just going to go back to those last set of tracks that VM saw. And of course there's a chance. I mean, we've lost, we think for definite 3 cubs so far, or possibly 4. We're only seeing 5 at, oh no, yeah, 5. Math's not my strong point. Yes, we've lost 3 definitely. There were 5 this morning, and I'm not sure whether they're all from the same litter or not, but Richard in the UK is wondering, well, will that female continue to lactate? Oh, we drove here 2 minutes ago and there wasn't a lion. Now there's a lion in the road. Richard, sorry to continue to answer your question. She's not going to continue to lactate. She's going to definitely probably go into estrus. Now she might, and there's the rest of the pride. I've spotted some more of them through the bush. That's very strange, hey Vim? We were here 10 minutes ago and there wasn't a lion in sight. Now I wonder which male this is. Could this be Tinyo, the tooth, who's been trying to sneak in there, and we got to see him fight with Mfumo, or I presume it's Tinyo, recently, so just try to see if I can find a way around him. Cubs look like they're actually, some of the cubs look like they're coming towards us on the road. Now, as we pass on the right-hand side of this male line, we should be able to see immediately it is, if it's Mfumo, I think it did look like Mfumo. Let's see when we get around. Oh, lots of big stumps here, we've got to be careful. Hey, Mfumo. Sure, look how much, is that Mfumo? Yes, look how much that wound's even healed since the last time I saw him. Isn't that incredible? Looking much, much better. So it is the authority. He's looking on quite high alert. He is turning into a magnificent beast. I also heard that. It sounded like something behind us that he heard as well. Could be another lion. It's quite thick, the bush behind us, so we can't really see. Let's just... You see one? Male. Oh, so there is another lion. I did hear something. VM spotted one. Oh, she's coming towards us. Well spotted, VM. I just heard that. Oh. So, Richard, in case you missed it, as I just said, she's not going to go, she's not going to continue lactating. She's more than likely going to go into estrus, but because if she is affected by something like white muscle disease, that might put her estrus cycle on hold. There we go. Who is that now? That one of the mothers? looks like. I remember seeing that scar. Just trying to remember now. On her left flank. You can hear the cubs. Let's just see what she does when she sees the authority. I'm sure she's seen him. She might greet him. Belly's full of buffalo. What they really need to catch is a hippo. Well, no greeting for you, Mr. Authority. Okay, let's go see where the rest of the pride are. Oh, they're on the move. They've come out from the bush. So amazing that we've just done a loop, and in 10 minutes, where there were no lions, now they're lions. The station's located in Nkuhuma Pride. They're now heading south on Galago shortcut. Here we go. And you don't get many tracks fresher than that. Oh, that cub has feasted. Look at how full that belly is. Oh, shame. There's another one of the cubs. It's not looking too well. Coming through there now. You can see how, even though it's been eating on buffalo, very skinny, and you can see that distortion in the hips already. Now, guys, I know we don't know what we're going to find while we follow the line, especially with this disease. There could possibly be more injured cubs that are not looking well. So if you are feeling a little bit sensitive, or you are very sensitive, it might be a good idea to just not watch for a little bit. Oh, hello, big boy. Now, the males are still looking in very good condition. And I know they have eaten some giraffe and hippo while they've been out of our Traverse area. So that could be the reason. But so if you are a bit sensitive, maybe just not watch. We are going to stick with the lions. I am going to see where they're going. And so far I can see 3 or 4 lionesses. I'm not sure how many cubs yet, but I will keep following them. No more coming. Oh, more coming from the rear. Who is that now coming from behind us? It's another adult lioness. Looks like Amber. Oh, you can see that. Oh, shame. You can see those, her back legs struggling a little bit. Now, as Jamie said, there's always a good chance they can survive if they start catching some other prey, as long as not all the lionesses are manifesting this, as long as there's some lions that can still hunt. Oh, so sad. I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but Amber Eyes has always been a favorite of mine. You see that splayed walking. There's a much stronger chance for the adults to survive. Oh, look, Bim. Look at that. There's playing with Dad. See, some of the cubs seem still completely fine. That's a shame, that one not so much. Now, as hard as this is for us to watch, it is nature looking after itself, and after the drought, if the lion populations exploded, it would have a rather large and detrimental effect on the herbivore population. So this stuff does happen. It's just really sad that it happened to have happened to our pride of lions that we've come to love so much. The authority causing a roadblock. There we go. All 5 lionesses, it looks like. I can see 4. I thought I saw a 5th adult beyond. I'm not sure. Now, Anne has brought up a very good point. Is this affecting any other lions that we know about in Kruger? Well, it does, and that's how we actually got onto white muscle disease. And to the north of us, there's a pride of lions that's going through the exact same symptoms, the exact same things, and have been tested and whatnot, and we're positive for white muscle disease. Lots of greeting. And you can even see, look at that. Look at the size of that lioness. She is glutted on that buffalo, and she looks to be in good condition. She's not showing not showing those symptoms like some of the others. This is always a very difficult thing to watch, but the adults, which was what Paul was wondering, the adults have a much better chance of recovery than the cubs, and they'll be able to pick up condition a lot quicker. And I know this might sound horrifying to a lot of you, but it's probably the truth. The fact is that if the cubs died, the adults would stand even a better chance of survival, not having to produce milk. So they would keep on a lot more of the fat, which would enable them to retain the vitamin E. Now, Mr. Mfumo is blocking us from going any closer. Here he is, he's lying right in the road. And he does have the fluffiest of fluffy tails. Like a makeup brush. Oh, there we go, there he goes. Using it to keep away all the little biting flies, not very successfully. Now let's move around the authority and try to get to the girls. Sorry, but just a branch. Oh, he is looking quite grizzled. I do love a male lion who's got some good scarring. It's a proper wild male lion when you can see those different battle wounds. You won't find those in zoo animals generally, and they don't really have to fight for their food. And most of them are under contraception, so not real need to fight for the ladies either. Okay. No. Okay, well, we get into a spot to have a look at the rest of the pride. Let's go see how Jamie's walk is going.
I'll just look and have a look at this. Herbie has just found me a cup. A beautiful cup that has come from the massive dead marula tree that is just a little bit off to my right. And what's happened here, and I'll show you in a moment, that the growths that grow on marula trees, basically aborted branches or broken branches that the bark has grown over. But in this particular case, it has formed the most perfect cup to drink water out of. So we've cleared away most of the sand. There's still a little bit there, but all in all, it's absolutely fine to drink from. So if one ever happens to find oneself without a drinking vessel, that would be absolutely fine. Now, Herbie's very kindly provided me with his water bottle. Obviously, I could just drink from the water bottle, but that's not the point of bushwalk now, is it? So, of course, if you were desperate to try and find some water, and you actually wanted a way of storing water, this wouldn't be necessarily the best storage facility, but it will allow you to carry or possibly even collect, especially if you collected different ones, possibly enable you to collect and then store water in the shade somewhere, possibly even bury it into the ground so that it stays nice and cool. Sounds like a proper cup, doesn't it? Right, so obviously I could just drink from the bottle. Suspend your disbelief for a moment and pretend that I have first sieved and then boiled water from the pan, which I have not done, but pretend that I have. And I'm now going to drink from the chalice of marula bark. It actually tastes really nice. It tastes like drinking water from a mountain stream. It sort of imbibes the flavour of marula tree at exactly the same time. Would you like some, Eggsy?
I'll get it.
You'll get some afterwards. And the nice thing about this, of course, remember, marula trees, marula bark, and the cambium layer of the inside of marula bark, which is now slightly dead, to be honest, but it's this stuff that comes off the edge of it. Now, marula cambium layer is actually used as an antihistamine. Now, I'm not sure how much of the antihistamine properties you'd get from drinking water from a chalice such as this, or a goblet. Perhaps a marula goblet is perhaps a better word, a better way of describing it. I'm not sure what antihistamine properties you'd imbibe, but I guess it's worth a shot if you happen to find yourself with an allergic reaction. Perhaps you've been stung by a bee and you've got a swelling. It might be worth trying and having a drink of it just to see whether or not it helps to reduce your discomfort or swelling. It's a little sandy, I'm not going to lie, but other than that, it's absolutely fine and absolutely hygienic to drink from. There's really nothing wrong with it, so I'm chuckling at the smile on Eggsy's face. It's really nice. It is not, however, the only thing that I wanted to show you, because Herbie's just taught me something fascinating that I did not know. Now, I did know about the spike thorn seeds that I know that local people crush up and throw into sort of small water areas to poison the fish. And if I remember correctly, it's got something to do with the oxygen levels in the water, or the way that the gills of the fish take in oxygen. I can't remember exactly what it is. I know that afterwards you have to cut the gills away before you eat the fish. Obviously it's not something we have to do here, but of course for many, many hundreds of years people have lived off the land. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I'm going to keep this water, should I balance this water chalice? Goblet, sorry, it's a marula goblet. Stay there, goblet. The reason I brought this up is Herbie's just pointed out this spike thorn seed, on the ground. Now this is it. This is half of a spike thorn nutcase or seed shell. You can see if I flip it over, You can see it hollowed out. It's obviously old. It's collected a lot of mud. Now, what Herbie's just taught me that I had no idea is that it's actually used as a, correct me if I'm wrong, Herbie, it's almost like a divining method to tell the future and to create those sorts of magics within sort of local culture and belief. And apparently what happens is Sangomas carve out numerals, like Roman numerals, into the top of the seeds, and they'll throw them along with the bones that they will then read the messages that have obviously come through from the ancestors. Yeah. So essentially what you'd get is, I'm sure maybe some of you have seen it in movies. It's of course not entirely a true representation, but it does give you a vague idea. You'd have a handful of bones. Each one of these is collected separately, and Herbie says they number up to 6. Will be the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Gather it all together in a handful and cast it, preferably if it lands that way up. Herbie's laughing at me with his head in his hands. Cast it and then divine whatever messages happen to have come through from the ancestors, from how the bones have fallen and the way that the seeds have fallen. It's essentially like the equivalent of tarot card reading. It's basically the same thing. If you happen to go to a tarot card reader and the Joker and the lightning struck tower or whatever it is very interesting. But that is something that I had never known, and that's one of the reasons why we love walking with Herbie. Oh, I think that Eggsy's going to have to take a chance to put the camera down so that he can drink from the marula goblet of water. Sounds like a Harry Potter book. Harry Potter set in Africa. In the meantime, let's go over to Byron, who's just driven past us, find out where he's on his way to.
And look what we've managed to find, everyone. A beautiful little scrub hare. Isn't that fantastic? Well, they're usually nocturnal, but this little one is hiding. It was hiding in the scrub a little bit, and just a bit of the movement caught my eye. It's come out for us, which is quite nice. Look at that. So it was hiding in there, just off to the left, and it's come out a little bit. And again, I think because it's such a cool afternoon and cool day that it's decided to move around and probably try and forage for some food. So we're at the Djuma Dam, or the Vuyatela Dam. This just is on the other side, down on below the dam wall, and there it goes. Beautiful little scrub here, isn't that wonderful? So that's a nice surprise. And what was another surprise, and for me especially, so I've been away for a while, but Jandre and I just heard a woodland kingfisher. Now, I don't know if anybody else has heard it in the last week or so. So Jandre says no. Jandre, you don't know of anyone else? So maybe the first woodland kingfisher. We've heard it. We haven't seen it yet. So that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. But we definitely heard it calling. Who knows, we might see one fairly soon. That was a nice surprise. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody else has heard one or seen one, but I think that's the first one. But we have to see them. We've had these little bets to see when the first woodland kingfisher will be seen, what day. I'm not sure what everyone's dates have been, actually. I can't remember now. I must have been the 19th. So it could be interesting to see. Sure. Oh, look at everybody, these beautiful Impala right next to us. And this is why I've stopped at them is, firstly, it's always wonderful to see and appreciate the Impala, but we know that we're expecting some births very, very soon. Marie, you want to know if there are any baby Impalas yet, and I have not seen any. That's why I wanted to stop and just have a look around. All these females do still look very, very pregnant and plump. Have a look at those bellies. They are very swollen. So very, very soon these female Impala will give birth. Hopefully very, very soon. So I think, yeah, I'm way off. I think I think I said the woodland kingfishers would arrive on the 4th of November. Well, that's what Rebecca told me. I can't remember. It must have been 4th of December. No, so I was very early with that, and then I think I said the 11th of November for the first Impala lamb, and that's also obviously very wrong, because we're now on the 19th and still no lambs around. But as you can see, very, very soon, I'm sure there are going to be some Impala lambs bouncing about. That would be wonderful. There's a lot of green grass and that for these Impala at the moment, so the food is good, the water is good, ideal conditions for them to give birth. So I'm pretty sure that very, very soon we are going to see some Impala lambs. Would be wonderful. Would be wonderful to see the first lamb, wouldn't it? And so everybody, just an update of that leopard sighting that we had. We unfortunately were having some technical issues. Our signal was fading quite a lot, and you're cutting out. But the little female was still just lying up on the side of the drainage line, little Xongile, and I think little Hosana, the young male, I think was still the one that was lying in that drainage line. So we left them. Also, don't want to put too much pressure on them with the mother not being around, but we fortunately did get a lovely view of them, and I'm so glad we got to see them. I think perhaps is possibly off hunting. We know that she's a very, very successful hunter, and that's what makes her a successful mother. She provides a lot of food for these animals, for her cubs, and that's why they do so well, which is great. Can hear a red-chested cuckoo calling, everyone. Let me see. Oh, it sounds quite far from us. That beautiful... You should be able to hear it, I'm sure. In the tree line somewhere in that area. I'm going to drive a bit closer, and who knows, let's see, maybe we can find the bird. It'd be great to show you a red-chested cuckoo, one of my favorite birds in this area this time of year with them calling. While I do that, let's head back to Brent and see what those lions are up to.
So we're still here with the Nkuhumas. They've settled down a bit right next to the road. A couple of the cubs are lactating on one female. The rest are just sort of sleeping here. I don't think they're going to move too much, and we're probably not going to spend too much more time here. We're probably going to go see what else we can find, and maybe Rusty's got a bit better signal where Xongile and Hosana are hiding, so we might make our way there. It is so difficult to watch a pride we've come to know so well in a situation like this, and it's really important to, and it's difficult, it's really difficult, but it's very important to step back and to just remember that as much as we love the Nkuhumas, and if we look at the rest of the lions in the Kruger, and the vast majority of the lions are doing fine, and there's only 2 prides we've heard about with the white muscle disease, and that's Mother Nature's way of just righting the balance after a serious drought like we've just had, and giving animals, and obviously the buffalo in this area must have been particularly hard hit, and maybe they weren't as hard hit, and maybe there was more grass in other areas. So we've got to try look at the big picture, although as difficult it is when we are with these lions almost every single day. Whew. And we are here to witness nature in its beauty and its sadness in this case, but it is what it is, and it's not our place now to start interfering. And it's very, very sad, but we're going to move on from these lines. And you never know, miracles do happen. I've seen it many times in the bush where you think it's all over, and these animals make a miraculous recovery. One good fat hippo would do it. So hopefully they find a hippo tonight. Yeah, a couple of the cubs are looking fine. I mean, that one's looking great. And 3 of them are looking good. One not good at all. One sort of in between. Okay. And out of the adults, Amber's the only one who's looking really bad. Now, Chanel's wondering, do I think the Nkuhumas would take down a hippo because they're instinctively seeking fat? I think they'd try to take down a hippo because they instinctively hunt hippo. And they are really good at catching big things. We have seen them on a hippo carcass before at Buffalo's Hook Waterhole. That was a long time ago, though. And see, that lioness is looking a little bit of stiffness in the one leg, but that to me looks more like an injury possibly from the buffalo hunt than anything else. And that fat belly. No, she doesn't look like she's getting up with any difficulty or even lying down with any difficulty. Isn't that cute? They are still the incredible Nkuhumas to me. And hopefully they're going to be able to fight off the white muscle disease. Now, the animals that do survive will have an incredible genetic strain that will be resilient to this, or more resilient to this type of thing in the future. Okay, well, let's leave the Nkuhumas sleeping and go see what else we can find. Well, hi, Price. Price is wondering if the Nkuhuma pride does completely disappear, how long will it take other lions to take over their territory? It's near impossible, but it could be as long as a year, could be as long as 2 years, it could be as short as 2 months. You never know. And quite often we're not 100% sure what's happening with the lion dynamics outside of the Sabi Sands in the Kruger. We've got a good idea about the Manuleti, but you'd probably find that from a lioness pride it would take quite a lot of time, because the Birmingham boys don't seem to be affected and they'll still be in this area, so that will keep nomadic males and stuff like that out. So to be honest, it's I would be guessing if I knew. As long as it takes, I think, is probably the best answer. The station's leaving the Nkuhuma lying up on Gallagher shortcuts just to the north of the first Shkova if you're coming from WildEarthTV access. Okay, let's keep moving. Now we're going to go see what Jamie's up to on foot while I chat to find out what's happening with those wild dogs in the north. Standing by.
Jamie is about to do some serious digging into the ground, and my reasons will become apparent in a moment. I hope he stopped immediately, and I have to confess something. He did actually show me an example a little bit earlier. He stopped immediately next to what I would describe as a relatively nondescript kind of a plant. You know, I mean, it's an interesting looking one, and it's got a sort of a three-lobed leaf, and it's quite rough and prickly and very, very, very distinctive now that I know what to look for. But here's the magic, and the magic lies underneath the surface of the soil. Which is why I've got my digging stick, my crude digging stick, because of course it's one of the things that sets humans apart from most, if not all, no, most animals, not all animals, our ability to use tools. So here we go. We're digging. And this is what we're after. Like archaeologists on a dig site, except that's not at all what we're like. Like natural foragers, searching for something below the surface of the soil. In this case, a massive tuber. And if we do this, apparently, what we should find... No, man, get out of my way. Don't worry, I'm going to put it all back in a moment. What we should find is a primary tuber. This is a secondary tuber, connected apparently by essentially a stem that runs between them. And it's an African bush potato, which is used according to Herbert, and that's why I love doing these bushwalks with Herbie, is there's so much that I don't know about the medicinal uses. There's no way on earth that my knowledge in terms of these sorts of things would ever begin to match his. So there's so much that we can actually learn from Herbert and the local culture and the local beliefs surrounding these particular types of plants. You will have seen these before. And when you would have seen them is when elephants dig them up, put them in their mouths. I've seen them many, many times before. Even they do grow much, much larger than this. They can grow to almost sort of half a watermelon size, and give or take a little bit. So they can grow even larger than this one is. And this one is probably a lot larger than it seems. And these potatoes, essentially, it's not an actual true potato, but it's related to them, or the equivalent. It's a storage unit for these plants. So it's got all of its nutrients, its water. It's very, very water rich, and I can actually feel, and you can actually see how damp the soil is around parts of it. So there's lots of water being stored in this particular, essentially, organ of the plant, which is why it would be incredibly valuable to something like an elephant, or apparently steenbok, particularly in the dry season. Apparently they come through and they dig it up. The cool thing about them is apparently these African potato plants or bulbs essentially form a part of almost all traditional medicines, or muti as they're known. So basically I'm trying to think of a more Western equivalent or a more Western description. It's like the base of a soup, if that makes any sense. It's used in pretty much all of them, and it depends on what it is that you're trying to treat, what it is you're trying to do, but it's essentially the binding product of the whole muti. And you can boil them up, you can cut them up, apparently, especially you can give them to newborn babies to strengthen them. You can use them combined with Bushman's grape, or guai bushes. Yeah, Bushman grape, to create various kinds of blood purification. Whatever it is that you happen to be attempting to treat, this is going to help to form your base. And apparently people from all over South Africa will come up and get these, or harvest these particular tubers. Now the cool thing about them apparently is you can basically take a slice of this plant, and you could take it away and you could plant it and it'll grow. But here's the most, for me anyway, I mean all of that's fascinating, but here's the most fascinating thing for me, is there's a belief that if you take the whole plant, your medicine is not really going to work, but you've got to leave a portion of it behind. And it's basically thought that if you don't do that, the medicine won't work at all. Whereas if you I thought I heard a grasshopper. Sorry, mid-sentence. So you've got to leave, let me finish the sentence. You've got to leave a portion of it behind in order for the medicine to work. Where's he gone now, Eggs?
He's just by your hand.
By my hand? Where?
Just a bit more to your right.
There! Oh my goodness. How is that for camouflage? Just heard him jump on the leaf. See if he can be ever so gentle. Cool. This is such an awesome example of this, and I don't quite know how I'm going to show you. This amazing grasshopper is obviously clearly built for living in these sorts of conditions. Eggsy, Eggsy, stand up straight. Apparently we're losing signal. Poor Eggsy's not allowed to move. In which case I'm going to attempt... Oh, I've lost him now. He's somewhere here next to my jacket that I have discarded. I've lost it completely. That's why you should really show you something amazing. Can you see me? Oh! Okay, unfortunately we seem to be having some signal issues, so I'm going to send you across to Brent and try and find my grasshopper.
Whoa, okay, well it seems like there's some gremlins in these clouds today. And hopefully Byron gets fixed up quickly, and so does Jamie. So till then you're stuck with the Veerm and Brent. And we are heading towards Karula's cubs. But I think I might take a little detour, because I don't think they're going anywhere. And just have a little gander to see if Mom's about Treehouse Dam, all that area. Maybe we'll find the Queen on the hunt. I think the last time Veerm and I were together with Karula on the hunt, we saw a kill, didn't we, Veerm? Yeah, we saw her take down a little grey duiker live. And it is a very special thing to be able to see that. Not very many people come to Africa and get to see a live kill. And we're lucky enough to share it with all of you. Now, of course, we are always keeping our eye out for the first Impala lamb of the season, or the first woodlands kingfisher. I heard one. I did. A very confused one, very early this morning. I heard it, but I haven't heard it again since. Now, fingers crossed that we're going to find it. Well, either a woodlands or the first Impala. Now, speaking of Impalas, Michael's wondering, is it likely that some of the Impala ewes might have stillborn babies, or even have aborted already due to the lack of nutrients? And most definitely. So to the north of us, where my parents live, we've had a couple of stillborn Impala already, and a stillborn wildebeest. So it is a strong possibility. And I haven't seen any yet, but I think there still will be a decent crop of Impala babies this year. And I think the thing that the Impala babies have to worry about the most is, of course, Queen Karula. So we're just doing a little bit of a long route towards where Hosana and Xongile are, just checking if we can possibly find Karula on the hunt. Oh, we've got a friend then. Not really a friend, more of a hanger-oner. Ah, we've got rid of it. There we go. That stick there, that was what was caught under the car. Now, strangely enough, the first time I ever, well, I suppose it's not that strange, it's where we are, the first time I ever saw Karula was just in here. And that was my first introduction to the Queen. I think I'd been here permanently for about 3 days or 4 days before I saw her for the first time. And I've been incredibly lucky since then to spend many, many incredible hours with her and her offspring: Quarantine, Nkuhuma, Hosana, Xongile, Shadow, Tandi, Shivambalan. Now, of course, the woodlands kingfisher are not the only kingfishers that are going to be arriving. I have seen twice already, but we were off air and they were just like little pink and electric blue bullets disappearing. A couple of pygmy kingfishers, and probably the most uncommon of all the kingfisher species that are arriving at this time. At this time of the year is the grey-hooded kingfisher. And I have been checking their nest site. They nested in the Mawati River last year, but so far no sign around their nest. Oh yay! I feel like I haven't seen them in ages. Elephants! This is the first elephant herd we've seen in such a long time, or I have. Oh, sorry, little one. There's a Llambia and Dwarf on Shabam Road, slowly heading to the east. Wonderful. I wonder which herd this is. Let's have a look. See if we can see any individuals that we recognize. Now, that is so wonderful. Janet was wondering if there were any elephants around recently, and there haven't been. With the rain, it's caused these Ellies to spread quite wide and far, so we will get them, but as you can see, they're on the move. So, oh, hello, little one. Little girl. And elephants always do cheer me up, so maybe they knew after spending time with the lions we needed a bit of elephant in our life. Let's just go forward a little bit. There's a mud wallow. Maybe they'll even play. It's a bit chilly today. You never know. Oh, so nice to spend some time with Ellies. Even though they are mobile Ellies. Oh, a very short elephant sighting before they disappeared into the thickets. Maybe we can catch them on the other side of the thicket. While we get around, try to catch up with the Ellies, it seems like Jamie's found some gremlin-free area, so let's go see what she's up to.
Jamie is currently on the move from just to get ourselves around, and we're going to head straight across in that direction. Whew. You okay there, Eggs? We're just dodging some buffalo, and we're just going to keep going around towards the termite mound, and then once we're there we will be absolutely fine. I'm just going to make sure while we're going around the buffalo that we don't go walking into something else at the same time. So here we go. Oh, it's one of my favorite trees. Oh goodness, that is not something you want to step into or drive into. That should be a nice surprise, although somebody's made that mistake. Sorry, I'm just double checking, making sure that we're not being casually followed around in a great big circle, which does occasionally happen, especially because when we first saw this particular animal, we couldn't have been more downwind of it if we tried, so of course our scent was blowing straight towards it. And what we're doing now is just moving around so that we're upwind a bit, essentially, so that our scent is blowing away and that they will decide to leave us alone. Sure. Being watched by the sharpest-eyed antelope in the entire bush. some antelope, some impala watching us. We're not going to delay, we're just going to keep moving around. Oh, eggs, sorry, I'm walking you through some nasty stuff here. You're gonna manage. Let's go this way, but not too far. Sure. Buffalo tracks everywhere. Oh, what a nice... I think we can stop now. I think we're fine. If we need to move, we'll go to that termite mound. Really nice giraffe track. Sorry, just while we're looking at it, I know the light is incredibly difficult, but there's a very, very nice giraffe track imprinted here in the sand. Gives you a really... There's another grasshopper. Really nice idea of just how large giraffe are. Interesting. Completely reluctant to... There he goes. Completely hidden and camouflaged in the sand. Beautiful. There were so many. I was so impressed with the camouflage of that particular one earlier. It looked exactly like a leaf. And I promise you, after we lost signal, it took us I would say a good 5 minutes to find it again. But all three of us are searching desperately to see if we could figure out exactly where it was. Right, so we'll leave our giraffe track and our very pretty grasshopper. He appears to be peering into a termite mound. What you doing? You checking for members? We're just having a conversation earlier about black mambas and the fact, did you know, which I didn't because I have never been in such close proximity to them before, apparently black mambas are really very smelly. Who knew? I certainly did not. Apparently they attract huge amounts of flies, which is another thing that I had absolutely no idea about. I want to take this home, Eggsy, as an ornament. Don't you think it would make an amazing centerpiece in a garden or something similar? I think it's beautiful. Eggsy can carry it. He's not carrying enough right now. He looks like he could do with an extra load or two. Cool. Cool, says Eggsy. I think he's fully up for the challenge. Now, actually, I wanted to stop a little bit earlier at the hyena den on Philemon's cut line, but unfortunately that was when we realized we were being slowly but surely followed by an animal, and so we're going to continue on around it. But I would have loved to have stopped there just to show you the ins and outs of an old hyena den. It's the best we can get at this point now that our hyenas have completely abandoned us. Whew. Okay, maybe the coat was a bit excessive. It's definitely excessive. So while we make sure that we're fully and 100% in the clear, let's go back over to Brent to get an update from his side.
Oh, unfortunately, those Ellies went deeper into the block, but it did bode well for the rest of the safari, having a nice little herd of Ellies around. Maybe they'll pop out again a little later. I've gone into a very thick area to the west of Treehouse Dam, but I'm nearly where the Prince and Princess of Djuma are, or were. Hopefully Karula hasn't popped in while we've been with the Ellies and moved them off. I'm fingers crossed not. And I'm hoping Karula went hunting that way, to the north, not to the south. And just to let you know, Byron and Gendre with Wendy are back at camp, having a little zhuzh to try and get those signal issues sorted, so hopefully they'll be out shortly. Okay, let's see where these leopards are. I know where they were, as we found them on foot. Now, they're currently a couple of 100 meters further to the west, so that's around here somewhere, maybe. Well, Matthew's been watching and listening, because on a previous show Matthew said he heard you can differentiate leopard gender from their footprints, and he's wondering how. Well, Matthew, it's very easy. It's size. So you'll probably find that young Hosana's tracks are almost, if not bigger than his mother's already at 9 months. So it's all about size, and that's how we tell it. A male leopard's tracks are probably 50% larger than a female's, and a young male's obviously somewhere in between. Now, of course, you do get exceptions to that rule, and I've seen one particular female I used to see a long time ago down to the south called the Sunset Bend female. She had massive tracks for a female leopard. Always confused, or it did confuse a lot of people. I see off-roading tracks, so I'm assuming that this is where the royal family were hiding. Well, not all of them, but some of them. Of course, they're choosing some very thick bush. I see one. It looks like Xongile, yes. Now there's little Xongile. Where is naughty Hosana? Oh, sorry about that. There's a... And that definitely looks like little Xongile. Well, let's get a bit closer. Well, a big Safari Live welcome to UK 2K, who's a brand new viewer. It's wonderful to have you on the back of the world's biggest safari vehicle. And UK 2K would like to know, how old are these beautiful little leopards? Oh, look at that, Fiam, isn't that stunning? Now, they are just under 10 months old now. They'll be 10 months old on the 2nd of December. There is little Xongile.